Welcome back. You're watching Cheche with today's guests, George Morara, the Vice Chair of the KNHRC, and Police Service Spokesman, Senior Superintendent Charles Owino. Some of your views on the law and human rights. I totally support the police spokesman in enhancing the human face of the police. I have policemen who are my friends. Some are very good and caring. However, we need to introduce police informers, ASAP. That came from Steve in Nairobi. Good morning, Cheche. A simple question to the human rights person. Did they protest when a number of policemen were killed in Kapedo? Police are human beings also. That came from Martin in Katam. There was a question. Has the HR group shared with IPOA? Are they publishing before sharing with IPOA to fulfill the requirements of their funders? And that came from Kate in Nakuru.
Our funders are the government. And I think just straight when the police were killed in Kapedo, if Banowino will bear me witness, we held a procession in town to say we don't condone those. We wrote to the IG then, and we came there, lit candles, put all the signs up there, but again, that was not covered, because I think sometimes when we do those things, they are not actually covered. So in a nutshell, I think that narrative again, that we're only on the side of criminals and all this, is not a positive narrative for this country. When you do policing work as a Human Rights Commission, we look at two issues. The demand side of policing, where we want the police to do their work in line with the law and the constitution, and the supply side of policing, where we examine the extent to which the police are equipped and trained to discharge their responsibilities and functions. So we look at both sides, and as a commission, let the viewers know that we participated in the Ransley Task Force, in the Naikuni Committee for the Implementation of the Police Reforms, and in all those recommendations, if the viewers went and read the reports very well, they'll see our thinking, which is we ask the police to uphold the rule of law, but at the same time we're very clear that the police also must be enabled to perform their work.
Okay, so tell us, is what one of our viewers say, what you do when police are killed in terms of human rights.
When the police are killed in terms of human rights, of course their rights have been violated, and I said what we do as a commission, we write to the police, normally a condolence letter to say this shouldn't happen, but overall I don't think it should be the responsibility of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights really to protect the police from the marauding gangs out there, because again, that is really misunderstanding our mandate. Our mandate is not to be the ones who will actually protect the police from the marauders out there. We are looking after the police to protect not only every Kenyan, but also to operate in a way that they are safe and secure in their operations. We'll be talking about issues of their tooling and the equipment. Do they have bulletproof vests and all this? So when they go out there, let's make it possible for them to do their work. And Bwana Charles Owino likes saying, policing comes with its hazards. Bwana Makali mentioned that.
Let Mr. Owino explain what you raised earlier, the vehicles, the fueling of vehicles and the maintenance. Why is it that a police vehicle in Makuyu will go all the way to Thika to fuel, or when it needs maintenance?
You can only fuel at Total.
Total. And when we want to repair it, we have to bring it to Nairobi.
One, it's important.
One,
it is important. Let me just answer that briefly of the vehicle before I talk about something that Mr. Morara has just raised. One, it is important to understand that the government went through the leasing system, where now we are leasing vehicles, majorly from, let's say, Toyota and so on and so forth. And they are also concerned about the quality of fuel that you put in their vehicles, because one reason why we always have a problem with maintenance of vehicles is that some of these petrol station owners are a little bit rogue. They mix maybe even mafutata with oil. So those could be some of the complexities. But very soon we are looking for also avenues because long time we used to have fuel stations, even at the police station level, where the government is going to look on that, so that even if we are getting fuel from Total or Shell or wherever, but it is brought to the station to make it nearer. So just understand that the reason why we are leasing vehicles, and they don't want their vehicles to be damaged. That is number one. Number two, Morara, I want to tell you that you have a responsibility to protect the police. The responsibility you have to protect the police is because the government has given you a mandate, and you are one of the most well-paid institutions in government. Well-paid. a senior assistant inspector general or even an assistant inspector general does not earn even half of what you earn at the commission, and you know that for sure. What happens is that you have a responsibility to protect us in the sense that the Constitution has given you a mandate to observe on human rights. And you look at the trend, how the public is handling their police officers. One of the areas is you should get a campaign system, not a lipstick action of demonstrating when a police officer is killed and carrying a placard or writing a condolence letter. We are looking at a situation where you can come up within your own policies on how do we carry out a campaign and educate the public and tell the public that thing somebody was saying, Mutua said, that bunduki si mwiko. Fine, I know when you say that in the eyes of the public or human rights, it looks bad. But the truth of the matter is, what is this bunduki for? If you are carrying a bunduki from your home and you are found with it in town, surely you are using it for what purpose? So what we are saying is we need also an informative wing. You don't just wait where a police officer has shot someone and then start shouting on it. That can be handled procedurally. You ensure there is investigation carried out. You ensure if a police officer is indicted, is taken to court. That is your mandate. But we need an informative wing also from you, where the public can be taught that you must have respect to your police officers. You must respect the uniform. You must respect the officers. Let it come out clearly that it is the police wanachokoza wananchi. But wananchi should be obedient. That obedience is very necessary. You are aware that the level of obedience within ourselves in society has gone down, where even children don't respect the elder.
Your point is
I would rather they respect the rule of law and they're guided by law than using the ones like obedient and all the other stuff and all that. I'd be very careful not to use those ones. And by the way, it's not a lipstick approach that we are taking.
Yes.
I was pointing out to very specific incidents where the police actually lose their lives in the line of duty and the measures that we take. But systematically, we have a systematic way of dealing with this. And I told you, at the Commission, we have a whole department on public education and training. One of the things we do is this. We have forums with the members of the public where we tell them, haki yetu ends also comes with jukumu letu. Your rights end where you start slapping somebody's nose if you're swinging your hand. So they know that very well. But what you're trying to say is this. It is a multiplicity of those approaches towards what we are calling a human rights respecting state. We do our bit in educating the members of the public that haki yetu comes with jukumu letu. At the same time, we also constantly require the police to carry their work, their function.
We agree, but I would concur with the window. I mean, I think in terms of civic education work mandate of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, I would also score them very lowly. I mean, we do not see them out there trying to advance the same objectives that they're charged with doing. And even the reports, really, seriously speaking, how timely are your responses to the supposed violations of human rights?
There's a specific one here.
Only post-mortems.
Yeah, there's a specific one here. We focused largely on the police because we're dwelling on that section of your report. But there's a question here, and I think this viewer misunderstands your report. KNHCR clearly do not understand their mandate unless they're just a terrorist mouthpiece. They don't talk about a host of violations in other sectors, e.g. the ambulance man death about 2 weeks ago. Student violations where they get admitted in a course, then the campuses close the department. Sex workers getting fired to make way for expats. No, I'm not sure this is sex workers. Workers getting fired to make way for expats. I think they're just busybodies, these KNHRC robots. And so there's a huge misunderstanding about the work you do, and even your report, because of course your report also addresses socioeconomic aspects of Kenyan life, the political and various other aspects of group rights. Yes. Talk about those.
Let me talk a little bit about, first, I want to let Bwana Makali and Bwana Wino know that we do our work, we take our work very seriously. We acknowledge the responsibility that Kenyans have given us. It's a constitutional requirement. Most of us went through a very strenuous process to be appointed to this position, so you know that. I think, again, this constitution gave a whole raft of other commissions. You've constantly referred to the IPOA. You have referred this the National Police Service Commission, the whole of Chapter 15 commissions. So in the past, while there was only one bull in town called the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. We've created other institutions, and we have to learn to really share our mandate in a way that doesn't appear like we're conflicting, but we take our work very seriously. Very quickly, we would work on what you said about our report and the socioeconomic aspects, and I want to tie this very quickly with the whole issue of radicalization and terrorism and all that. Our report clearly points out that we haven't reached where we're supposed to reach as a country. Remember, Vision 2030 says, for us to become that country that is a medium income country, we must grow our economy at 10% annually, consistently. We've barely grown beyond the 5%, 6% and all this. So there is a problem. Number two, we have a huge problem of the youth bulge, the unemployment, whereby the population of the people who are between 18 to 34 who are not in employment is over 65%, and this is 70% of the population. What our work has found out is that in those areas that are the so-called marginalized areas, issues of access to education still continue to remain a challenge. In fact, if you look at the results of 2013, the 50 bottom schools, 70% of them are from the coast and northern Kenya. So we haven't invested a lot in that sector. But there is a glimmer of hope in what has come in through devolution. And this is why I'm saying that if we have to actually address the issue of radicalization, it cannot be only limited to what the police can do and what the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights can do. Yes. We need the county governments to come in. We need them to move away from buying those carcinogenic wheelbarrows. We need them to move away from buying those curtains that are very expensive to investing in the people. But if we go by the reports of the Auditor General, that is not happening. And for me, I think the new structures have a role to play.
First of all, two questions. Do you have the capacity, really, to carry out this huge mandate? Because human rights in Kenya is actually strictly under you. It's not even a shared mandate. The others have parts and pieces, but still you are the overarching body charged with observation of human rights. Do you have capacity to really do this work? And two, can we see you more frequently or flagging these issues, even preemptive ones, like where there is potential, for violation of human rights or, failure to meet the standards, or there are conditions which are likely to breed human rights violations? Can we see you flagging this out more frequently and raising alerts to the country and drawing the right agencies to intervene, rather than wait for, 2 years, then we get a report, bang.
4 years.
4 years, I mean, about immediacy and your mandate.
Some of those challenges are beyond our remit as the commissioners in the commission. Let's actually understand that as a country, especially under the Jubilee government, the word human rights actually at some point became a dirty word. It's not a word that people really wanted to be associated with. And let's not forget what this commission, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, did in 2007-2008 in investigating post-election violence and producing a report. Was it human rights or civil society? It was human rights on the brink of the precipice.
Yes.
That is our report. It's a report that was produced by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and the civil society also did their work. But from that time, the attitude was that human rights is something that you don't touch. In fact, we are the last commission to be constituted. Even after we were interviewed, it took about 2 years for us to actually take office. So again, those are some of the things that really speak to the attitude that the government adopted, and I think there's a relaxation, there's a changing of that towards human rights. Article 59 of this constitution, Bwana Makali, contemplated that we're going to have one commission called the Kenya National Human Rights and Equality Commission.
But you have the gender...
but then it was split into 3. So in terms of mandate, again, we have to share the mandate. You're right that we carry the overall mandate of human rights, but we share it with the Commission on Administrative Justice and also the Gender and Equality Commission, because we are all under Article 59. Do we have the capacity? Of course we do, and it can be better. Especially if we now we know, and Banowino said, there is this what we're calling a freezing in government, especially in hiring staff. So I think we are working with Treasury because we need to improve our numbers. We need to actually extend our presence. Once Treasury allows us to actually establish an office, we will do so in Isiolo, but we're working within the remit of what we have, and unless we are properly and sufficiently resourced, we can't actually do beyond what we do.
So we're winding up now, and I'll set that up with a couple of text messages. I'm Mark in Nakuru. My question is, Are the police concerned about the police officers they dismiss joining terror gangs since they are trained and are still very young? Is there not another means of punishing them instead of dismissal, which leads to increased insecurity? That's one. And then, yes, the police are doing a good job, but the bitter reality is that the bad outweigh the good. Banawino should at least agree to that. Let him not protect the image of the police blindly, even when police officers themselves have grievances that need to be addressed. And sorry, I've lost the one on human rights, but the allegation, what one of our viewers was saying is that, and a lot of them have made the same point, is that the human rights is subjective and subjected to the whims of outside countries. And so as we wind up, right, I'll go to the panelists first, and then I'll come to our guests for your final thoughts. We've been talking about security and human rights and whether the two are incompatible. Mutegi, I'll start with you. Mr. Morara painted a picture of us, the history, where we're coming back from, where people would disappear, where we would end up in Nyayo House, torture chambers, where people had to flee. And so, given this report that we have, this new constitution, the context that we find ourselves in now as a country, should there be a dichotomy between the two? Is there one, can we do better?
Of course we can do better. In fact, I think there's certain people in government and in the police or in the executive who want to take us back. If you see the requirement, like, in fact, they're saying that we change certain rules so that the president can appoint certain people, which we try to move away from that. They want to whittle down the efforts of the IPOA. It looks like we want to go back, and if you go back, you will go back to Nyayo House. These disappearances is denied. They are there, and whether they want to claim, the police would like to claim that these people went to Somalia, the young men were not killed. If we don't be careful, we are going back to Nyayo House.
David, would you agree that we're going back to the Nyayo House era?
We are incapable of going back there by virtue of our new constitution, in my view. But
they are making changes.
And we still have some safeguards, legal and constitutional, that we can rely on to reverse the situation and keep the momentum forward. But that momentum has been lost along the way. There is a general feeling, and I think Mr. Wino would agree, that the anticipated police reform, the one we dreamt of in this constitution, has not happened. It has not materialized. There have been some cosmetic changes, there have been some reforms, but down deep, what drives or what ails our police has not been fixed in terms of personnel and in terms of infrastructure to enable them to do their work. Two, I think that I would like to see a reduction in the number of people who are killed by police, whether they are suspects, and we don't know whether most of them are suspects or they are innocent people, because when you look at the number of people who end up in the judicial process, prosecuted, convicted, we would like to see higher numbers of those, and the reduction in those who are killed or executed extrajudicially, although doesn't like to hear that, in our statistics.
In fact, they have increased the training period for policemen at Kerajo, I think 2.5 years, instead of the normal 5.
No, 9 months.
9 months.
We reduced.
Now, does that curriculum of training policemen include human rights? Does it include even ethics, even corruption? Because when you look at the vetting of the policemen are rich. Now using mobile phones, the vetting board, I've seen how they collect the money. Are they taught these things? Because if you go to any police station in a village, they operate the same way they used to operate in 1960.
Okay, so I'll come to you because I gave you the first word, and we'll give Mr. Wino the final word. You made the point about Nyayo House. The bulk of our viewers actually believe that you're meddlers, right? The sympathies from our viewing public lie with the police force. How do you respond to people who say human rights are choking policemen? KHRC is a political organization protecting political interests of certain politicians.
I think people confuse the Kenya National Commission and
with the
Kenya Human Rights Commission. You need to make that clear.
Yeah, we are not KHRC, we are the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, though we work on fairly similar issues. I really want to say it's all a question of education, really. And sometimes the narrative out there is that the police should be given a carte blanche to do what they want to do. We will still stick by the Constitution. Kenyans were not wrong by giving us that Constitution. Kenyans were not wrong in saying that the police have to do their work well. And isn't it ironical, woodwork, that the same Kenyans who are saying that also give information to Transparency International, indicting the police as the most corrupt, the most inefficient and all this. So again, I find those statements to be fairly contradictory. Our concern as a commission is that what we are doing as a country is moving away from the principles that were set up in that constitution, where for a long time, and Bwana Mutegi said it is, we were used to what we're calling regime policing, where the people in top positions in the police were actually appointed by the president. They could be fired at whim, and we're actually slowly going back to that very dangerous position. We see the Senate trying to reintroduce security laws that will whittle down protections of human rights, and we're worried that again the police capacity to protect us internally is continually being degraded by the militarization of our security operations. The KDF, there's now a bill pending in Parliament where they want to give the KDF a bigger role to actually do policing work, when the same KDF has been indicted, even including in a recent report, that where they're supposed to keep us safe in Kismayu, they're busy selling sugar, in Chaco, and other things. A report came out, and those are issues of concern. Let Kenyans know this. As a Human Rights Commission, we are guided by Article 59, by our Act, and by best international practice. We don't dance the whims of foreign agents, as people have constantly said. The only tune we dance to is our Constitution.
They don't even have to go to Kismayu. What they did at Westgate.
Absolutely.
Everybody saw.
In fact, one of our viewers says extraordinary times calls for call for extraordinary measures, and that's where we started. It was our departure point. Compare Westgate, Garissa with now. Our forces are stopping terrorists now. Some people may not be happy about it. With this progress, I have no alternative but to die in support of our forces. And that came from a viewer in Nakuru.
We all want to be safe and secure. In fact, you said one of the principal things about the Constitution is the right to life. But again, it is principles like what Makali was saying, presumption of innocence until you're proven guilty. And we don't want to go to a place whereby we have what we used to famously call, and Mutegi knows this, the trigger-happy police officers. We want to go away from that.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. First of all, I have to thank the Media House for giving us this opportunity to express some of sensitive issues that the public would want to hear. But number one, Bwana Mutegi, I'm not denying that there are disappearances. I admit that there are disappearances. But I'm denying that we are aiding people to disappear. We have a number of cases like the one I've just told Murara, of a person we were claimed to have who have disappeared on our hands, to be found in a Bauri attack. We have an employee of Kenya Airports Authority who was working in Wajir. We were accused by the family. We found him in Syria, and we are communicating, trying to have them back. We have a number of cases that we have accused. Even the two girls from South Sea who went to ISIS. Yeah. Yes, we were accused. So, and as a police service, we can say that we don't want to be too protective of the accusations, because we have been given a big mandate to protect lives, and in the process we can also make mistakes, but we don't want blanket accusations. We want us to improve on mode of reporting. We are lucky, you have said, the Constitution has widened the web. We have other institutions, the Police Service Commission, whom we are not party to so much, the IPOA, that we don't have representation in it, they are very independent, and so on. So I must say that let us improve on reporting issues to the police and other institutions. And issues of deaths allegedly caused by police, we would want you to be very particular, work hand in hand with IPOA, work hand in hand with judiciary so that when these matters go before inquest, let us get the truth. I cannot protect an officer who is unlawfully taking the life of a person. It is immoral. It cannot be allowed. But we also must admit that within a family you may get one or two that are not good. Issues of teaching of human rights and issues of corruption is being done at police colleges, and we are highly trained actually. We are trained quite regularly. I would particularly stand that for the Kenya police.
Just a minute. Skeptical actually.
You're fine. But what you ought to understand, Woodwork, is that the issue of corruption, whatever you see in the police, is a clear reflection of the public. I want to give you a very good example. You get into a matatu, the conductor is busy visiting with 100 shillings or 200 on his hand, just one conductor, and there are 14 passengers. He throws the money to the police officer. I've never seen members of the public ganging up and arresting this conductor and taking him even to ethics and anti-corruption. Can I see that example? Because you see, money is sweet. Woodwork. Even you, when you are given money, you may be tempted to eat it. But what we are saying is that can we work as a team to prevent corruption? This corruption is coming from the society. These policemen are coming from the society. Let us be practical. Just the other day, the Chief Justice and the IG have just unveiled the traffic rules, where we are going to give people notices to attend court. But I can assure you, within a very short time, you'll find Kenyans are not disciplined to go to court. I'm requesting Kenyans that will be given notices to attend court, because if you don't attend court, a warrant will come out. And this is now where we will give an avenue for corruption. Makali, my friend here, smiling, when he's caught in along Mombasa Road and he has a warrant, I know he will have temptation to give the policeman 500 instead of going to court. So these are things, yes, it's upon Kenyans.
They just warned me.
No, it's upon Kenyans.
I don't have to give them money, and I know I'm on the wrong.
You will not be warned. With a warrant of arrest, you will not be warned. We will arrest you and take you to court. So we are allowing police to be indicted. We are not supernatural. We are workers. We are civil servants. We are workers for the public. But please criticize us fairly, and also fight for us. You know, we don't have a union, and we cannot. We are disciplined. We cannot even go asking for money. Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. Yes, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. We want to see you much more involving the public in telling them that this is how far you can go with the police. And for your information, our office has just told me that they have not received a letter of condolence from you for a long time, and we have a number of officers who have in fact they have said Morara is lying.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
That is a strong moral indictment.
No, Morara, on a slight note, you are my friend. You know that.
And let's work
and
on
we are working for one government.
Let's work on community policing.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
The Kenyan people.
Yeah. I think Kenyans have opportunity to judge us.
Okay.
Thank you.
We look forward to your collaboration on matters of security.
We are going to do that. Yeah.
And so our time is up, and we thank you for your time on Cheche, George Morara from the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights, and Police Service spokesman Charles Owino. We thank our panelists as well, Mutegi Njao and David Makali, and we thank you for watching and engaging with us here on Cheche. We've been live on Citizen TV. My name is Ura Kamimo. We'll see you next week.